that you are in the middle of the class, so don't worry. We have just covered 3 to 4 handouts, right? I think 3 handouts, right? Introduction to vocabulary, then after root 1, then root 2, and today we are moving towards the root 3, right? But previous to that, let me just give you some basic idea about what you didn't know or what you did not attend in our last classes. So we talk about the root. What do you mean by root? Root का मतलब क्या है? Root is the part of the word. Okay. Any other idea?
Which strengthen up to stand up.
Which contains?
Strengthen up to stand up.
Okay. Okay. Let's say that if I give you a kind of a word called sacrosanct. The word is given. Any idea what do you mean by that? No? Okay. So let's say that if I give you another word that called as a sacred, sacrilegious, sanctity, sanctimonious. Now, what do you think that? What these words mean? The first one is called as a sacrosanct. The second one is called as a sacred. The third one is called as a sacrilegious. Then fourth one is called as a sanctity, and the fifth one is called as a sanctimonious. What do you mean by that? Or if I give you another one that called as a scribe, right? Subscribe, superscribe, or you talk about inscribe, scripture, right? Inscription, or we talk about subscription. Now, what do you think that the meaning of these words? Okay, out of these 5 of the words, which one word do you find out easy to depict the meaning? Second. What do you mean by that, second? Religious type. It means we consider it as a holy, right? Purity, holy. So even if you say that pure, impure, sacred is somehow indicating the word called as a meaning called as a holy. But if I talk about sacrosanct, what do you mean by that? Okay, coming to the another word that called as a sanctity. What do you think that meaning of sanctity? Do you know sanctuary? Right? Sanctuary. What do you think that sanctuary is all?
Conservation area where endangered species are protected.
So it's a kind of a peaceful area, right? No one can enter and no one can create any kind of a havoc there, right? So in that case, if I talk about sacrosanct, if I don't know the meaning of it, then I at least try to guess the meaning by breaking the word into 2 words. One is called as a sacred and the other one is called as a sanctity, isn't it? So in that case, sacred means a holy, whereas sanctity means also purity, right, or peaceful. In that case, if I talk about the meaning of sacrosanct, it's called as a pure or holy or religious, connecting to that. Isn't it? Something which is, again, if you even do not know the exact meaning, at least you can derive the tone out of it. So what kind of a tone it represents? It represents a positive tone, isn't it? So sacrosanct is a positive, sacred is a holy, it's a positive. If I talk about sacrilegious, it refers to the religion, right? So that's also kind of a positive, sanctity, positive, sanctimonious, it's a full up purity. Right? So similar to that, if I talk about scribe, subscribe, superscriptions, superscribe, inscribe, scripture, inscription, subscription, what do you think that, which one is somehow connecting to it? Subscribe means to have something, to get something, like subscribe this channel, isn't it? So subscribe my YouTube channel, isn't it? So in that case, so scribe is something which is connecting to the writing. Scribe is something which is connecting to the writing. Not only scribe but also script. S-C-R-I-P-T. Script. Script is also writing, isn't it? Now if I talk about all these words, scribe, superscribe, subscribe, inscribe, scripture, inscription, subscription, these all are connecting to the writing, isn't it? So, you know, scripture, something which is written on the stone, right? Inscription. So, if you talk about also superscribe, the letter is written in a superscribed manner, isn't it? So, in that case, means when I talk about the topic called as a root, what root is all about? Root is nothing but called as a lexical form of the head words. Right? Root is what? Lexical form. What do you mean by lexical? Any idea? What do you mean by lexical? Lexical means called as a basic. Right? The basic form of the head words. Now, when I say that head word, so let's talk about the word called as a massacre. Do you know the meaning of massacre? Masking. So, what is the root you would find out here? SCR. Now, what do you mean by acre? Acre means called as a harm, isn't it? Massacre. So, mass, acre. It indicates that mass of the people are in a harmful situation, right? Not only in that case, you also think of it, the word called as a acrimonious. Acrimonious. Can you think of the word acrimonious? What do you think that the meaning of acrimonious is? Harmful. How do you know that? The word acri, isn't it? And suffix is called as OUS, full of harm. Now, if I talk about another one that called as a SCDT, it's a very simple word, right? When we also said that acid, we also said that what we can say that acerbic, isn't it? We also said that exacerbic. Now, what the difference between acerbic and exacerbic? Acerbic is called as a harmful, exacerbic is known as a excessive harmful situation, isn't it? That is what. So, what the idea that we draw here, if this is known as a head word. Now, in that case, I can say AC, ACR or ACRI. Right, these are nothing but known as the root word. Got my point? And they are known as a lexical form. Lexical form of the head word. These are. Got my point? So why it is needed? Now, if I talk about that, the kind of a root word and head words, generally we cannot learn the head words which are nothing but somehow called as more than 1,50,000 in Advanced Oxford Dictionary. So what our job is to nothing but find out a kind of a process through which we can learn the vocabulary, isn't it? So hence we follow the process which is known as a root word. Now last class I gave you some of the root words, right? But very few. Right. Now we are going to discuss root word in bulk. Let's talk about the first one, A. Can you point out what the meaning of A is?
Without.
No or without. Right? So what do you mean by AB? Against. Against. What do you mean by AC? We know that half. Right or no? So I'll give you lots of examples. Now, if I talk about B is B, Ben. Benage, bone. What is that? Good too. Right? Ben is good and bone is good, isn't it? So similar to that, BUC. What do you think that? Local, right? Or rustic. If I talk about bell, then bell means war or quarrel or jaglalu, quarrel, right? So similar to that, if I talk about C, kan. What do you mean by kan? Kan means together. Kan means together. Like we said, no? Convivial, no, conclude, convivial, congregation, converge, right? Conflict, consigned us, right? So in that case, see, once you know all these root words, it becomes easier for you to derive the head words, right? Now beside can, we also have called as a CESS, says, right, which means continue, right? Similar to that, DE, down, or we can say that what change, down or change. Similar to that, DOL, dole, which means suffering, suffering. Even you also say that DOC, doc, which means educating, educating. Similar to that, EN, which means into, EU, U, which means good, right? So similar to that, beside EN, EU, you also find out FID, fit, fit means trust, fit means trust. Similar to that, FAL, fall, fall means false, false. FLU, flu, flu means flow, right? So likewise, we also find out grage, grage means together. Together, isn't it? So what you find out? You find out lots of words here. Let's start with some example, right? So when I say that A stands for no, like I pointed, atheist, isn't it? Atheist. What else? Even atheist also have the root word that's known as a the, T-H-E, right? So what do you mean by the? It indicates about belief. Belief, isn't it? Like you can say taste, theology. What are the words you can make? Taste, theology, theology, theme, theme. Even you can also say atheist, right? You can also say theory, theory, isn't it? Got my point? Even you can also say pantheist, Pantheist, pantheist. Got my point? All these words are connecting to the what? Belief, right? So it means theist is called as a believing God, atheist is called as a disbelieving, not to believe, and theology is called as a study of certain things, their value or belief is. Theme is generally we draw on the basis of the given text. So theory, not in oral but in the writing, and pantheist. Pan is again called as another root word. Pan means called as a overall or called as a worldwide, right? So in that case you can say pandemic, isn't it? Even pantheistic, Pan-America, or means anything where you find out the word pan is present. Got my point? So Panthist and pandemic, which are nothing but the two of the words which I quoted here. Yes. So not only atheist, but also you have another one that called as apathetic. Apathetic. What is that? Apathetic is all about emotionless, right? Even we also know that path, P-A-T-H, path is known as emotion, right? Can you point out some of the word which where path is connected? Pathetic, apathetic, right? Sympathy, empathy, what else? Pathology, right or not? Pathology, or you can say homeopathy or allopathy. So in that case, path is indicating suffering as well as full of emotion. So atheist, apathetic, even amorality. So when I talk about moral, moral is what? More is again related to what? More is related to the body, right? Like we say, no, mortal, right? A mortal. We also say moribund, 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 causing to die, right? So even we also say mortuary. Even we can also say morgue, GUE, morgue. Now, generally what happened when you talk about such a vocabulary words, we cannot remember all these words, but through the root words, we able to learn the word forever, right? Because words are the kind of things that you can't keep it forever, right? So, because today you learn it and tomorrow it gets evaporated from your mind, isn't it? That's what happened. But root words never allow you to forget it, because somehow means when you know that A, B, C, D alphabetical order, you try to connect that what are the root words are there, and on the basis of the root words you derive the head words, and that head words you cannot jump into the direct meaning, but somehow indirectly you connect into it, isn't it? That's what is called as one of the part. So even atheist, apathetic, amorality, even agnostic, GNO is also there. GNO. When we talk about GNO, which means to know. So any word where GNO is used, right? You can understand it means called as to know. Beside this A, atheist, apathetic, amorality, agnostic, we have another one that's called as AB. AB stands for against, right? So, like you can talk about some words. Some words you can say that aboriginal, right? Abhorrent, abnegation, right? So then abstrute, 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 isn't it? The word AB connecting to this is nothing but indicating going against certain things. Like if you say original, you say aboriginal. If you say that negation, you say abnegation. If you say that means abhorrent, which is nothing but loathsome, hatred. So if you talk about abstrute, it's also saying negate, isn't it? Now in that case, at least you draw the idea that they are nothing but the negative words. If I am using A, which means negative, if I am using AB, which is also negative word. Got my point? So beside that, you also find out the next one, which is known as it's also called as AC. So what is that AC stands for? We can say that acid, acute, acupuncture. We also say that what acrimonious. We also say that acerbic, or we say exacerbic. We say massacre. All these words are known as means what? Negative in nature, are not they? Now think of it, acid. Acid is a harmful substance. If I talk about acute, acute means sharp in nature, sharp, strong, isn't it? Pungent also you can say. Acupuncture, we know that it's a kind of a process through which we heal the pain. Acupuncture, it's a kind of a medicine or called as a treatment. Acrimonious, somebody who is harmful in nature. So acerbic is also acerbic tongue or acerbic word, right? So, and if you talk about massacre, we know that mass of the people are in a harmful situation. So now this doesn't limit it with these other words. Any of the word where SE is connected, you can consider that it is nothing but a harm in nature. Sequire, right? Acquire. So when you talk about acquirements, you get something. But remember that all the root words are not connecting to the head words. Let me point out at the initial class, I pointed also one thing, that there are different ways of identifying the words uses in English section. Some words are coming under the affixation. Like affixation is what? Where you use the prefix, where you also use suffix, you also use a circumfix, right? Affix is what? Now indicating about prefix, suffix, circumfix and inflexation, right? Now when you talk about prefix, we know that previously the word connecting to the root. When you say suffix, which is used, use the word after the root. When you talk about circumfix, it's called as a combination of words. When you say infixation, it means when the word, means changes from it inside. From inside, grammatical changes occur. Like you say go, so you say went, you say gone. Go, went, gone. Isn't it? That's a verb, action word, and it changes in the middle, in itself only. Right or not? So even you talk about boy, boys. You use the singular, you use the plural. Isn't it? You say goose, you say geese. Inside the changes. Double O change into double E. Right or not? Mouse change into mice. That the O change into I. Isn't it? So that's why means when we talk about the uses of the word, some words are means adding, some words are means adding before, some words are adding after, some words are changing in the middle of it. Some words are, changes in themselves, right? This is the rule of affixation. Similar to that, when you talk about acronym, initialization, acronym and initialization, what are they? Acronym are the words that generally come with the beginning of each word, right? Like we say NASA, right? We do not say NASA, we say NASA. That is the acronym, because N stands for one word, A stands for another word, A stands for another word, and A stands for another word. But they have a one word called as a NASA. That is known as an acronym. But that cannot be called as a FIV. FIV cannot be called as acronym. FIV is known as an initialization. Why it is initialization? Because each letter you pronounce FIB. Isn't it? So that is the difference between acronym and initialization. But that doesn't come under the affixation. Do they? No. So similar to that, you have also back formation. Back formation. So when you talk about back formation, editor becomes edit. Professor becomes prof. That's called as a back formation. Isn't it? You have also what called as a blending. Blending means what? What do you mean by blending? Mixing. So it means two words which have been changed into one by saying that brunch, breakfast and lunch. Right. You also say Infosys, information and system. Isn't it? Simultaneously you talk about any of the two words and mix them together and you point out one of the words. Yes. So in that case, when you talk about English words, you would find out different form. Right. Even the words are all borrowed. What do you mean by borrowed?